Welcome back into One on One, New York's longest running sports call-in show. I'm Andrew Galata alongside Andrew Posadas, and we are joined by Essence Carson. She's a WNBA champion, all-star, and former New York Liberty first-round pick. How are you doing, Essence?
I'm good. How are you guys this morning?
Doing good, definitely doing great. And I wanted to start off with some recent news about the NCAA tournament and the disparity between the men's and women's facilities at the bubble down there in Indianapolis. As a former college athlete and kind of having that experience with sharing facilities with the men and like having that same dynamic, what were your initial thoughts on the news and just stuff like that?
It's very disheartening. It's to see things like that happen, especially being a collegiate athlete at one point and understanding the many hours that you put into your craft, right? There's no shortage of hours there. There's no shortage of hard work there, right? And especially in comparison to your counterparts, you both of you guys put in a tremendous amount of work, a tremendous amount of sacrifice and dedication to the sport you love, right? And not only that, you both have to balance being student athletes, right? So if you guys are both meeting the same criteria, it only makes sense that you both are afforded the same opportunities. Especially when to say the least, especially when you have Title IX in place. That's exactly why it was put in place. So yeah, it's very disheartening.
Essence, I think about something that Emmanuel Acho said the other day when referring to women's sports. And I think he said something along the lines of, you can't expect maximum results with minimal effort. And it really feels like for the women's tournament, especially, they don't get as much nationally televised games when you start with the opening rounds. I think they usually wait until the Sweet 16 to give it more of a national coverage. Do you agree with that sentiment that until women's sports gets the national spotlight it deserves, it will never truly get the maximum results that I think people are looking for?
Of course, I believe that to be true with any product that you put out there. If you don't have the support behind it, then there's no way that it's really you're gonna maximize its potential, right? Not saying that it won't work, it's just that you won't maximize the potential of that product. And that works the same with basketball. That's something that we've been fighting for, and something that we as professional women have been championing for a long time now. And it seems that, okay, now people were able to step up to the plate and see the results, or with increased viewership. And now you see a lot more women with endorsement deals. And I think it's deservingly so. Yeah, when you put minimal effort behind something, you can't expect maximum results. That equation just doesn't work.
And I wanted to move over to the WNBA, and starting off with you, I know you're a free agent right now. What do you feel like your next steps are with your playing career in the league?
I'm always gonna be ready. Those that do know me understand that I work tremendously hard. When the lights are on and when the lights are off, right? That's just how I was taught. How I learned the game, how I learned the game of life. It doesn't matter who's watching, you still go out there and put in work. I know it's about 10 something over there with you guys. I've been up since 6 something. As soon as this is done, I'm going to the gym, putting in some work on the weekend. The grind never stops. So I'm always be ready. So when that call comes for this year, I'll be ready. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always going to be a competitor. I'm a champion. I know how to win, and I know how to lead. As far as next steps, again, like I said, I'll be ready for this season. And then at the same time, I do have other things going on as well. That's the beauty of today's athlete. We're not just confined to being someone that participates in our sport. A lot of us have many other businesses that we're part of, whether it's our own businesses or whether we've gone ahead and stepped into other arenas in different industries. So, with me being, into music and in the music industry, that's not going to stop. I'm going to continue to grind there as well. And like I said, I'm always going to be ready. I'm a hard worker, and I'm a competitor.
Essence, I love that you bring that up because I remember watching an interview with you and Tina Charles, and Tina calling you a Renaissance woman. And I think now in today's sports, we're seeing athletes, we're seeing that mantra more than an athlete. I think off the top of my head, Maya Moore taking years off of her career to fight and help those who are incarcerated. I think about Renee Montgomery now, being one of the owners of the Atlanta Dream, and yourself, your endeavors in the music industry. How proud are you of just the progression that athletes have had in today's world, where they're just no longer, as you said, they're no longer confounded to their respective sport? There's so much out there for you guys to do with your platform. How proud are you when you see your other contemporaries and what they've been able to do off the court?
I'm extremely proud. When I was coming up, it wasn't necessarily the most popular thing to do. I always had, someone in my ear, that was a naysayer. But then I also had an amazing supporting staff, a supporting group, right? Supporting circle, that encouraged me to continue to explore my different passions and different loves and things like that. So it's great to see people break out of that box. A lot of times they try to have athletes or just people in general, reside and live in these boxes, that are very, very tight, very, very small, very, very limiting. And now you get to see that life is so much greater than, and so much greater, so much bigger than that small box that people try to get you to live in. And it's amazing to see people finally realize that and explore all the different avenues. There's so many different avenues you can go down as long as you're committed and dedicated to putting in work and to learning. And you're seeing that now. And it's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think that's a great sentiment. And as you were saying, like, the more than the athlete, kind of sentiment, and just kind of diving into that. I know the WNBA has really been the leaders of, fighting social justice issues. What do you think makes the WNBA athletes kind of like the pioneers to, fight social justice, maybe compared to other athletes?
One, women have always been on the front lines, throughout time. Not only in sports, there's just, that I think that's just kind of in our nature. Um, Man, so when it comes to the WNBA, I mean, when you look at it and you look around the league, we're a reflection of society. We definitely don't have much to lose, but we have everything to stand for. Because we see a bright future ahead of us as long as we continue to fight and blaze those trails. So if we were to sit down and be quiet, there would be no way we would even get to the point where we are now. We wouldn't have lasted this long, right? So then, if we're going to sit there and fight for ourselves, what sense does it make to be quiet about fighting for someone else? Especially when we come from these communities. These communities, the people that make up these communities are people that look exactly like us. And so we know what it feels like to be marginalized, right? We know what it feels like to be looked over, to feel that you don't have a platform as big as your counterparts, right? So we make the most of it, and we definitely dedicated last year's season to that, and even seasons prior, whether it was players individually, whether it was teams. Last year we made it a league-wide effort, and I'm definitely happy with some of the change that we were able to be a part of. Right, we didn't make it ourselves. It was you guys. It was the country that actually were able to tune in, listen, and be I guess inspired, or maybe just reminded. You know,
Yeah.
we kind of became the megaphone for some of those who felt that their voices were not heard, or maybe too small. We were a reminder that you too have a voice, and don't be afraid to use it. It doesn't matter whether you're making $7 an hour, or whether you're blessed enough to pull in I don't know, a $200 million contract. At the end of the day, we're all human first.
Essence, I want to get your thoughts about the game on the court. Obviously, from when you got in to now, what are the biggest changes in the development of the women's game? What are some things that you like? And where do you think the game is heading moving forward? We're seeing so much more athleticism. We're seeing more young women out there dunking. Where do you see the game moving in the future?
I mean, you can definitely see where it's moving already. Um, Much higher scoring games. You kind of liken it to the men's side where now you're seeing you have five people on the floor that can be effective offensively. It used to be, you maybe had two people that were able to actually score at a high clip, and then it became the three with the big three. And then now, you have these stretch fours and even stretch fives that can, get out there and play behind the arc, and they're not afraid to let that thing fly. So I mean, the game is definitely spreading wide open, which is definitely creating more lanes for you to see, people driving to the lane, getting to the cup. And being able to showcase the athleticism, the game is definitely speeding up. You're gonna see much more higher scoring games. Again, it's good. I mean, the players are getting better and better each year. Like you said, more athletic. And you can attribute that to players starting much younger. And they're developing their skill set at a much younger age, and even just understanding what it looks like to put in the work. What does that look like? I know people before when the WNBA first came around, you didn't really know what you had to do in order to become a professional athlete. You just kind of just played ball. So now, the people, this generation that's coming up now, they've been able to watch the WNBA throughout their entire lifetime, right? And be inspired, and not only that, set the bar for themselves. And they've been doing a great job, hands down. I mean, hats off. I mean, that's definitely a great job that they've been doing as athletes to push themselves, and whether it's their parents or whether it's their coaches, their trainers, they're making them hard nosed and making them tough.
And I think a lot of people saw that, progression in the game in the bubble. I think more eyes were on, the WNBA. I mean, I just wanted to ask, what was it like playing like in a bubble, and like how different is that, playing than normal times?
For me, it was cool. I'm okay with just being stationary, but I know it's tough for a lot of people, not being able to move around freely, and enjoy the many things that they do like to do. So, so they're, we don't just only play basketball. That's not, that is our profession. I mean, for lack of better words, it is our job. But there's so many other things that people like to do, and when you take those things away from them, sometimes it weighs on them a lot mentally. So seeing a lot of people struggle with playing inside of a bubble mentally, that was like the biggest part of it. And today's life is just different. Living life through a pandemic is just different all around. Even if you were at home, self-quarantining at home, safe at home orders and stuff like that. So that in itself was just a different world. And you add the element of basketball, playing without fans, you had to adjust to that. Playing in front of fans for so long, feeding off the crowd. Oftentimes we say the crowd is either your sixth man or the X factor, and they can kind of get behind you and kind of get you over those humps in the game, right? When you take that element away, it's like it's purely, just you and your teammates out there just trying to pump each other up. And, you can't deny the fact that the crowd definitely adds an element to the game. But what you were able to see was that a lot of athletes just key in, band together, and just continue to motivate themselves and bring it back to the fundamental element of the game, which is just being a competitor and just playing your ass off.
And Essence, before we get you out of here, I mentioned the interview that you had with Tina. At the beginning of that video, though, there was a song you were bumping. I believe it's called Floss, and that instrumental had my head bumping. So Essence, I think the most important question is, off the court, what new, are we getting any new music? What are the plans for the music in the future for you? Because that song in the beginning, let me tell you something, I was bumping to that. So I need to know what's up with the music.
Man, there's a lot that's going on with the music, on my side personally, definitely crafting up a lot of things on my side to give to you guys, just been taking in all the different experiences throughout this past year. A lot of the things could, some might take as being heavy, but at the same time, there are things that we need to talk about, we need to hear. So I've just been putting something together that kind of like surrounds that viewpoint, because I think it's a very important time. And, at this time, I think some people need a little guiding light. So it's
W
coming soon.
Great, great. A WNBA champion, all-star, and musician as well, Essence Carson. Thank you for joining us, Essence.
Thank you,
Thank you
Essence.
for having me. Thank you for having me, guys.
We'll be right back on One, New York's longest running sports call-in show.